Petron is kind of like a natural wellness center. We're primarily consult-based, so people come in and do consults. I promote natural healing and I work to, fix disorders, cure things, or manage certain issues. In saying that, I've used kind of like my talents here, or my talents with health and disease, and I translate it over into what I do for the foundation. And for the foundation, we center around abuse and torture. So locally, we do cruelty cases, someone beating up their dog. We've had cases where they staple the mouth closed. These happen in Los Angeles, and even around America, there's cases of this as well. In the beginning, it started out as single rescue, meaning that I just saw what was going on, and I didn't even have a plan. I just left, and I rescued who I could and whatever I could. Trip one was, I went out there and I rescued all these dogs. I didn't do undercover stuff back then. Came back, I was this hero. I felt so good. And trip two is when it started to change. And now, it's so different. Trip four, I had this breakdown. Trip five, had a hard time when I got back. Trip six is a point of like, I don't know who I am anymore. And if they pass a law, that's the only way it can change, you see. If you appeal to the people, you can change single minds, but the effect you have, it's much less than for the government to say, look, this is illegal, and if you do it, you'll get arrested, you see. And so that's what the goal is now, and that's why I started going undercover. And so things that they do, of course they beat them up, and there's live boilings, things like that, but they hang them, and the amount of suffering that these animals endure, and the time length. I mean, I've seen 30 to 40 minutes of constant abuse. That has to be so intense for just that one life, you see. I watch them burn them alive. They'll cut their chests open, pull out their intestines, and just leave them on the ground to die out. And so the most common things is they'll hang and beat. They'll cut off one of their legs or both legs so they bleed out slowly, and they'll put them in scorching water and then pull them back out, re-hang them, re-beat them. I went to this one place where, they tortured this dog for such an extended amount of time, and they had him on this meat cage. One guy was hitting him with a stick, and they had this blowtorch there, and before that, they had another dog, this pit bull, attack him, and whole just crazy ordeal. And at that moment, I always, in my writings, I write about even in the ugliest person or the darkest person, I always think there's this one piece inside of you that's still good. And it was weird, in that moment you lose hope for humanity. And I look at it, if there's no hope, then anything I do is worthless. And if you can't change the mindset of a human being, or you can't instill compassion, then what am I doing out there? Because you can't change anything. And maybe that was it, I saw this dark place, darker than any else, that I lost the faith that I always had. You always remember who and what you can't save. And that's it. When I rescue dogs, I take them to vets after, and they stay in ICU or at the vet, isolated until they're healthy enough to fly back. Once they're healthy, we bring them back. A lot of them have issues getting here, and they slowly work through it. Transformation is much quicker than you think. Human beings are not as forgiving. I rescued this dog that was boiled alive, and he survived, and he came back. Man, you won't even know. If you met him now, it's wow, you went through this huge ordeal, but you're so happy. I wonder if it's because they grew up in darkness, and so if I existed in a room with no light, somebody beat me up or berated me all day, denigrated me, how I would feel. This is just my life, and so maybe I wouldn't know any better, or that something greater exists. When they're taken from this place and brought into a place where you have a home, or someone loves you, or someone will pet you, I'm sure they don't forget, but maybe they're so immersed in this new life that they're like, wow, there's nothing to be sad about because I'm here and that's what matters.